And welcome to TI Now's continued coverage of Dell World 2015. We're here with Rose Schooler. She's Vice President of IoT Strategy and Technology. And Rose, welcome to the program.
Thank you, it's good to see you again, Abe.
You too. I want to start, before we talk about IoT and the data traffic on the network, I want to talk briefly about your partnership with Dell and how far back that goes.
Oh my God, as you know, the Intel-Dell relationship is long-standing across multiple markets. Relative to IoT, one of the things that I think is very fascinating is the fact that 85% of the legacy devices aren't connected today. To do that, we're leveraging a gateway technology to really connect the unconnected legacy IoT devices. Intel, in conjunction with Dell, are bringing those types of gateway solutions to market, and such, we're very critical ecosystem collaborators to bring that end-to-end value into IoT.
Now, of course, billions of devices connected to the network, and you even just mentioned this statistic, 85% of the potential devices are not yet connected.
Right.
What does that mean in real world terms?
So if you think about it, the forecasts are really looking at 50 billion connected devices, and I think we've all seen that data. We've also seen some estimates from IDC and EMC that indicate that those 50 billion devices will generate 44 zettabytes of data. That's a future projection. Today, what we're seeing with live traffic on IT networks is 2016 is the first year where we'll actually cross the zettabyte mark in terms of data on the network. That's expected to double over the next few years. That's not considering all of the devices that we've yet to connect. So in terms of the amount of traffic on networks, I think IoT is going to have a drastic impact, similar to what we've seen when the cell phone came to bear on network and network traffic.
Let's talk about some of the forces or drivers, if you will, for this, I guess, tsunami of data on the network.
Right.
Big data is one of those forces. How does that play into IoT?
So if you think about IoT is really taking things, using the network to connect it to the cloud. And what we see is analytics and big data implementations at both the edge and in the cloud. But let's look at a cloud example. From a cloud perspective, we announced at IDF the Cancer Cloud collaboration. And if you think of that use case in particular, we're having multiple doctors look at multiple patient data to take diagnostics from months to weeks to days. Great example of big data use case, great example of how we can use IoT to save lives.
Rose, I know this is coming from a previous position at Intel with the CSIG group, but I want to ask you this quick question before we get back to IoT. What's the end game, or the end goal rather, for NFV and SDN technologies?
It's very simple. We need to have networks that are more scalable and more flexible to accommodate the traffic that connected devices, both from commercial and consumer implementations, will put on networks.
Now, of course, we've gone from the laboratory to now trials and real life use cases for IoT and NFV. Let's start with NFV. Can you take us from the laboratory to the trial and give us an example?
Absolutely. We've been working with China Mobile for over 5 years. The relationship started really from a lab and R&D engagement from both companies' perspectives and looking at how to more effectively scale. The use case that we are working on together is called virtual RAN, or virtual radio access networks. And between Intel, Alcatel-Lucent, and China Mobile, we have gone from really R&D lab experiments into initial trials and deployments in Q2 of 15.
Now I want to talk about various infrastructures really playing nice together. Let's say telecom networks, enterprise networks in the cloud. Can you give us an example of those three really components playing nicely together?
Yeah, when you look at IoT, I'm going to go back to the simple definition. It's really things connecting to the network, putting data into the cloud, allowing for data to create information. When we think about really the integration of those assets, you have traditional IT environments, your enterprise data centers, converging with your communication environment, the telecommunications networks, converging with what have been operational technologies in, say, an industrial environment. So now, instead of just connecting your consumer cell phone over a mobile network, you're now having an IoT to instrument, say, a pump, pull the data off of the pump, aggregate it, and then send it over these networks back into the cloud such that you can make that data into intelligent information to do things like saving money and saving resources.
I want to finish off by circling back with Dell's really growing ecosystem, not only with Intel, but other companies here at Dell World 2015. Intel and Dell's relationship has grown quite a bit, even over the last few years, but how has Dell's ecosystem grown in your eyes?
I think they're doing an excellent job in growing their ecosystem. It's a point of collaboration between Intel and Dell. We have undergone activities where we're looking from an end-to-end perspective, sensor to cloud and IoT, comparing who we want to bring into our collective ecosystems with the sheer goal of creating scalability and accelerating time to money for IoT implementation.
Rose, it was nice talking to you.
Great talking to you again, Abe. Thank you.